Video in Lotto X and Weekly Money Multiplier. This video is about scans, setting up scans within Thinkorswim to help you search for setups. Our previous video showed you how to search for setups, what you're looking for, how you grind through charts. Here's a quick tutorial on how to set up those scans. So if you go over to the Scan tab in Thinkorswim, you can go to the Stock Hacker tab here, and then you can set up a scan. So, we're going to set up a scan that's all optionable names. I exclude, in this one, all funds. Sometimes you can exclude futures if you wanted to. And then you can do a search. Basically, you can add, let's get rid of some of these, right? So we're going to set that up. We're going to add a filter. This will be a brand new squeeze, here we're going to go stock. We're going to say we'd like the mark or price. Where's the mark? The mark minimum, let's say $20. We're going to play something a little smaller to infinity. So we want a stock that's optionable. We want to exclude funds and anything above $20. Okay. So then we'll add another filter, and obviously we want to put a study. Okay. We want a study. We want the TTM squeeze scan. And in this particular one, we want to look at TTM squeeze on the 15-minute chart. Let's say we're looking for a quick day trade / overnight swing. So we want to make sure that extended hours is off. TTM squeeze. And then we could come over and add another filter if we felt like it. We could say another study that we would need to be, let's see, we could do volume, we could have unusual volume. Let's just use the volume is increased at least 20% from its typical average over the last 50 periods on the daily. Okay, so let's hit that scan. Let's see what comes up. All right, so that's not a lot of names, so this will be perfect. So let's save this scan as training. We'll call it training 15-minute squeeze. Okay, and so we can play with this. Now, with those, we could, sometimes you have to rescan, we could just write those down and go look at them. Or we usually save it over here. And this is a live dynamic watch list. Okay. So this will change each and every day. If this scan is set up and saved right, it'll continue to scan. So if you wanted to name this something else, day trade 15-minute scan or quick swing or Lotto X, you could name it whatever you wanted. And then when you pull that up and you've got your squeezes on here, you can see all the 15 minutes are covered. We were going to look at a 15-minute chart. And then we are going to just kind of grind through these. So here's Dove on a 15-minute chart. It is in a squeeze, but it doesn't really have a setup that we like at the moment. So we jump to the next one. Let's see, make sure that extended hours is turned off. Good. This FRPT, really nice 15-minute setup here towards the end of the day, although it kind of started to break down at the close, but we had our trend is up. You can see it on the daily. We have a little trend going up. I actually like the daily quite a bit. If this is the all-time high, which it's very close to. So anyway, we're not scanning for something on the daily right now, but that could go on a watch list for a potential squeeze here. Looks like it's trying to fire long at the moment, maybe hit some resistance. But if you can see here on this 15-minute chart, we have our run up, our pullback, our consolidation near the averages, and then this trade ended up resolving itself, or maybe it didn't resolve itself, but it started to resolve itself to the downside. Maybe there was a stop out here below that line. So let's look at MODN. Not the best setup, nothing really specific. Again, DOV, nothing. OFC, HMC, just looking for charts that have a nice setup. There you go. Man has a pretty nice setup. An interesting spot here above that. NBR, sorry. Another interesting setup. Looks like it bounced off the lower band there, but we got that into the late part of the day. HPP. There you go. So if you set up multiple scans, you can see that I've set up, if you look over my watch list here, you can see that I've set up tons of scans. I have an hourly low squeeze for Pro. The daily 4-hour, the daily and the 4-hour squeeze combo is one that I absolutely love when I'm looking for a long-term, at least a week or more swing trade for weekly money multiplier, because those are the ones that are the most reliable, these daily squeezes. And I can just go in here. Costco's probably one of the older ones, only ones that's any good. I was looking at them earlier. There aren't a lot of setups that really stick out right now because the market has just been so volatile. But if you set up these scans in here, if you see, we'll go to, let's load the daily and 4-hour scan. This is the daily and 4-hour scan. I'm going to run the scan here. But I'm looking for a stock that's above 30 bucks. It's optional, so that means there are options on it. We're looking for a squeeze on the daily chart. We're also looking for a squeeze on the 4-hour. So it's only going to show us stuff that has a squeeze on both the daily and the 4-hour. That just kind of ensures that we're, in a multi-dot squeeze potentially, and not just a single dot daily squeeze. We're looking for within 10% of the 100 period or the 100-day high on the weekly. So here's where we could make some changes, right? We could go back to the daily. We could say I'd like to be 5% of the daily. Let's just go, year on the yearly chart. I know that should be 365, but whatever. It kind of gives us that, so we can rescan there, and we come down with a lot fewer numbers. And if we go over to the exclude and we get rid of all futures, we're going to get rid of all of these futures here up at the top, which would be nice. It'd tighten up this scan a little bit. Okay, now we're looking at some names that I know are going to be pretty good. So let's jump over here, come back over to, I need to save that first. So we save it. We can save it as something else, but I kind of like the way this scan is. I don't know why I had it on the weekly before, so I'm save it as the same name. Okay, so that tightens up this list quite a bit. I'll sort that by percent up. I know Vive looks really good, but since it's up 6% today, it's pretty much out of here. You can see it here on the daily. So let's look at this on the daily. Yeah, yesterday would have been great if we had taken it off of that lower band and 34 EMA touch. Looks like we had earnings today after the close, so that wouldn't have been a good play anyway, but it had a huge run today, right, in our daily squeeze with momentum firing long. EA is another name we've been playing quite a bit. As you can see again, yesterday it had a pretty solid pull well outside of the 34 and the Bollinger Band. But if you had caught that low, maybe based off of symmetry somewhere, That would have been a pretty cool spot to try and catch a big trade. I wonder if we measure there to there to there. Nope, not even close. What about here to there to there? Again, not even close. So you'd have to go further out to find symmetry of that kind of a pullback. But MOH way up today with a pretty big pullback. I don't like that. VeriSign's interesting here on the daily. It's up a little outside of buy zones. But as we go through, this is how we set up scans, and then we just kind of grind through charts. If you have any questions on how to set up scans based on criteria that you want to see, we've tried. There is no ATR study function, which is too bad because it would be nice. Sometimes you pull up these stocks that look great and they have an ATR on the daily of 0.2. Not that this looks great, but that's not going to go anywhere. So it's just not one we're going to trade. So that's how you set up scans and sort through them in this watch list you've created. You can't create multiple versions. I mean, you can create multiple versions of the watch list, but if you have too many of them open, it won't render all the squares. So I just like to rotate between them, and when I find something I like, right click it, put it in my master watch list or my specific watch list for Lotto X, so that I can come back to it when I'm actually looking to make trades. If you have any questions on how to scan or would just like links to some of those scans that are already set up, you go ahead and leave some questions down below. But you should be able to make your own scans and understand how that works, so that you can change them and put different criteria in there to find what you're looking for. All right, thanks, and we'll talk to you soon.